What's up everyone, I'm CallumOnToast, and in today's video I'm going to be showcasing some battles in the Open Great League featuring the newly released Duraludon in an ABB style team alongside Shadow Dialga, the only other Dragon and Steel type Pokemon currently in Pokemon Go. Now I want to start by saying I initially ran this team a few days ago and I had meant to get the video out on the day that Duraludon released, but unfortunately I ended up deleting all the gameplay along with another fun theme team, so I've had to run the team again, and I have to admit there weren't quite as many crazy games the second time around, which is a little bit disappointing, but I have a feeling you're still gonna enjoy the video anyways. Now, is Duraludon actually any good? Is it worth building? Well, it has almost identical stats to Dialga in the Great League, but it is a non-shadow, so the damage output actually feels a little bit underwhelming, and also Dragon Tail has horrible synergy with Dragon Claw, as 4 Dragon Tails takes you to 48 energy, meaning you need a whole extra fast move just for that 2 remaining energy, which makes it feel so much slower, despite that fact that technically it does have the same energy generation and the same energy cost for its cheapest move as Shadow Dialga. Also, it just does not have the same nuke potential as Shadow Dialga, meaning in the 1-0 shield scenario as a closer, Duraludon has a 29 and 13 record against the meta, which is okay, but Shadow Dialga has an incredible 40 and 2 record, losing to just Corviknight and Tinkaton. Now, I think the most unfortunate thing is that Duraludon would have likely been so much better with the old Dragon Tail and Dragon Claw combination, whereas actually Shadow Dialga feels way better this season with that reworked Dragon Breath. With that being said, let's just get into the question of the day. Which Dragon-type Pokemon do you feel was most negatively impacted by the Dragon-type move overhaul this season? Let me know in the comment section down below, and with that being said, let's get into the battles now. Let's go into the first battle, leading Dartrix into Altaria, so not a great matchup for me. I'm going to be safe swapping into Duraludon, and the opponent is unfortunately going to hard punish me with a Gastrodon. I'm going to fight a Dragon Claw. I recognize Dragon Claw not quite going to get the KO, so it won't flip this matchup if it does go unshielded. So what I actually do is I go for an undercharge. However, the opponent does just play it safe. They use the shield anyways. I'm going to come back in straight away with the Dartrix, and Dartrix can sponge up the energy very comfortably here. Body Slam number 2 doesn't quite get us into the yellow health range. I can actually continue to overfarm here, and what I'm going to do is going to farm up to a Seed Bomb and a Brave Bird. That way, when I throw the Seed Bomb here, I've got a Brave Bird already loaded to threaten a shield or big damage up against the Altaria. They come back in with that Altaria straight away. We go straight for Brave Bird. Brave Bird connects. It does big damage. The opponent likely banking a charge move before swapping into Empoleon. Now here, Iron Head is double resistant damage, but the opponent used the final shield. I'm also going to use a shield here as we do force a CMP die. The opponent fires off a Drill Peck. I mean, to be honest, it doesn't really matter. Both Drill Peck and Hydro Cannon are resisted. However, Shadow Dialga not going to be able to tank either of those, but likewise, we are going to go straight for Draco Meteor, and this is resistant damage, but Draco Meteor gets the KO there. I then swap out. I catch the charge move onto my Dartrix. Didn't really need to do that. I probably could have Peck farmed them down, but we come back in with Shadow Dialga. One more Dragon Breath gets the farm down, and I'm able to take that game. So, GG's up on there into next battle. We're going to see Skeledirge in the lead. Once again, not a great matchup for the Dartrix. We're going to swap, and this time they actually swap into Altaria, so that is definitely fine with me. I'm going to go straight for Dragon Claw. Dragon Claw grabs an early shield advantage, and at this point, I am quite low, so if I shield here, potentially they can double shield and fully Dragon Breath farm me down. So actually, going to take a shield advantage. I'm going to do something a little bit strange. I'm actually coming back in with my Dartrix, forcing energy, coming out with a Brave Bird loaded, and then I'm just going to save this energy, swap back into our Shadow Dialga, commit to a full Dragon Breath farm down, and the opponent comes back in with the Skeledirge. Now, I don't quite have the energy for a Draco Meteor just yet, so I am going to shield. They fire off the Torch Song. I'm going to bait with an Iron Head, looking to grab the final shield from the opponent, and the opponent is going to use the final shield. They then swap out, but actually, I would not have reached another charge move, but since they swap into Hypno, we get to the Draco Meteor. It gets the one shot, and also, we can make that combo play with the Dartrix, go for one peck, fire off the Brave Bird, get the one shot up against that Skeledirge, and I'm able to take that game. So, GG's up on there into next battle. We're going to see Dedenne in the lead, and I have made a few teams this season, I feel like all in a row, where I'm just so weak to Dedenne, but the opponent actually going to swap out of that matchup. That is honestly such a strange decision here, and at this point I'm thinking, maybe they're on Ice Beam, maybe I'm about to get one shot by an Ice Beam from the Jellicent, but no, they actually bait with a Surf there. I genuinely don't know what's going on, but the opponent going to fire off another charge move, they fire off another Surf, so now I'm just going to bank the energy. I recognize Dedenne is still going to be problematic, so I swap into Shadow Shadow Dialga, and I get the perfect Dragon Breath farm down. They come back in with the Dene. I'm going to go straight for Iron Head. Iron Head going to hit for neutral damage up against the Electric and Fairy typing. Here, I could have looked to throw on CMP, but I did not want to throw and have it caught onto another Pokemon. Here, I make a big mistake, though. I do not throw early enough, and they actually reach a second Parabolic Charge. Shadow Dialga just barely tanking that, but they're now double boosted in their defense. That does not put them into range where a single Seed Bomb will get the KO, but I don't want to give up a farm down, so we come in with the Dartrix, and here I'm just going to force their energy. At this point, I'm thinking, you know what, they weren't very good up against Dialga. They stayed in with the Dene. Surely they got something weak to Duraludon in the back, so we're going to come in with the Duraludon, and they come in with an Araquanid, a Pokemon that can only hit for resisted damage up against my Pokemon. However, it just has such superior stats here, and Dragon Tail, Dragon Claw, they're not the best moves anymore. Well, I mean, Dragon Tail's actually a decent fast move, but they fire for Bubble Beam, so what we're going to do here is going to look to try and make a catch there. Honestly, my counts might have been off, but either way, what I can do is clear the debuff, fire off a Dragon Claw, but Dragon Claw just doesn't really do that much damage. The opponent now has the energy for a Water Pulse, dealing big damage and getting a fully resisted Bug Bite farm down, and unfortunately, I do lose that game. However, if we had Shadow Dialga in that closing scenario, I believe that would have been a comfortable matchup for me because a Draco Meteor is going to do so much more damage. But anyways, into the next battle, we say swap into Duraludon, and I just need the opponent to no shield here. The opponent does not respect the damage, and Flash Cannon gets the one-shot. We flip switch advantage. They come back in with the Fortress, and Duraludon actually reaching a last-second Dragon Claw. Could have committed to a Flash Cannon there, actually, but it doesn't really matter as we do grab a shield anyways. At this point, I'm actually going to come back in with my Dartrix, as I recognize, of course, Oranguru going to hit for resisted fast pressure up against my Shadow Dialga. I can also tank a Rock Slide, and I have just been debuffed, but Brave Bird is still going to do respectable damage. The opponent, no shields, that nearly gets the KO. That certainly puts them into Dragon Breath farm down range. Rock Tomb number 2 gets the KO there, but I can farm them down before they reach even a potential Sand Tomb. They come back in with the Oranguru, and I'm trying my best to throw this match here, as I end up throwing on alignment, but once again, the opponent does end up throwing on CMP. So fortunate for me there. Of course, if I let the confusion go through, it probably doesn't make a difference, as I do still have a shield advantage, but either way, I should be looking to throw on better timing there. Iron Head gets the KO, and I'm able to take that game. So, GG to opponent there, into the next battle to see a Shadow Giratina in the lead. Now, this was actually the first battle I did today. We're going to swap into Duraludon, and the opponent is going to outpace me here to a Dragon Claw. I'm going to no-shield this, and we actually don't tank that. I cannot believe that. Honestly, I thought Duraludon, that's neutral damage, by the way. It's a Shadow Giratina. Yes, it is a Shadow Pokemon, but Giratina is very bulky. I did not expect that to get the one-shot there, so that is really unfortunate. I'm now forced to use a shield on my Shadow Dialga. They come in with a Gastrodon. I'm going straight for Draco Meteor here. Draco Meteor is going to connect. It does huge damage, but we did take the damage from a Mud Slap, which means Shadow Dialga basically worthless at this point. I'm going to shield the first charge move. I recognize I'm not getting to back-to-back Seed Bombs here. Well, I mean, I might just barely, but it doesn't make a difference. They've got 2 shields. We have to commit to a fast move farm down, but unfortunately, they do land the Night Slash, and they can just fully Bullet Punch, farm down the rest of my team, and I do end up losing that game. So, GG's to opponent there. Very, very poor from Duraludon. But anyways, we say swap into it this time around, and they don't have a great response. They come in with Miltank. Worst case scenario, they fire off an Ice Beam, but Ice Beam, we can tank that. It's going to be neutral damage here. We are resisting the fast move damage. They go for the Ice Beam, and I'm going to go and throw a charge move here. They actually go for an extra rollout, so potentially not even running Body Slam there, which means that is kind of a misplay on my end. Of course, if I committed to a farm down there, we come out with a Dragon Claw loaded to throw into the Talonflame, but either way, we do still have play here. Now, again, I'm going to look to throw on CMP. This time, this was intentional because I need to force the opponent to throw here. If I throw slightly sooner, the opponent might actually commit to a full farm down, whereas now we can swap into our Dartrix eventually. Not quite yet. I actually don't know why I haven't swapped just yet, but we're going to shield up the fly. Now I swap into Dartrix, and I've put them into range where I can Dragon Breath farm them down. They're going to be forced to shield up a Seed Bomb here, which they do, and that is perfect for me. We can come back in with the Shadow Dialga, and I can go for the Dragon Breath farm down before they even land the Incinerate, which means I also live the Volt Switch damage. We reach a last second Draco Meteor, and once again, it gets the one shot, and I'm able to take that game. So, GG's top there into the next battle. We're going to see Flourishes in the lead. So, we are going to stay in this lead matchup initially. A lot of Flourishes are running the Chilling Water and Trailblaze combination, in which case both moves are actually going to be resisted here. The opponent does go and fire off a Chilling Water straight away. I feel like they should at least farm up to a potential Moonblast if they're running it, so pretty clear they're not going to be on it. But I swap into Dialga. I thought I would get the farm down there. It does not work out for me, but they do bait. They did this time farm up to that Moonblast. I do end up shielding, which is unfortunate for me, but I can at least reach a Draco Meteor before they farm me down, and Draco Meteor, even debuffed, does threaten a shield there. But my Dartrix, unfortunately, is in range where Rockslide is basically going to get the KO, so not ideal for me. They can outpace me. They do fire off one Mud Slap first, making sure to throw on good timing, but we can fire off a Seed Bomb. But Seed Bomb, even though it's super effective damage here, it is stab, it would not get the KO from that range. So here, I'm actually going to swap out. I'm going to catch a Rock Slide onto Duraludon. This doesn't really help me because they can now just commit to a full Mud Slap farm down. The opponent doesn't commit to the farm down, but they snipe with Dust Noir anyways, and at this point, it's going to be game over there. If I land the Dragon Claw, maybe that puts them into range where I can go for a Peg farm down. Probably not. But either way, I think the opponent had a charge loaded on the Marowak, so it doesn't really matter. I do lose that game, but GG's to that trainer into the next battle. Great lead for us. The opponent safe swapped into a Dragon Breath Shadow Charizard. I don't really have a great response here. I am going to come in with my Shadow Dialga, going to shield, they full send the Blast Burn, so I can overfarm ever so slightly. Fire for an Iron Head. However, unfortunately, even though I do overfarm a little bit there, it's not really going to help me as I will not reach a Charge Move up against the Gastrodon. But this is such a good matchup for the Dartrix. The opponent fires off the Body Slam, they now swap into Togekiss, and I do not have a great response. So what we're going to do, we're going to farm up to the Brave Bird. We're going to bait with a Seed Bomb. I come in with Duraludon, and we are in a really awkward position. I'm going to shield this as they fire off the Aura Sphere. I need to throw straight away. I need to outpace them here, but we've only got the Dragon Claw, but the opponent ends up shielding anyways. They're going to fire off an Aura Sphere once again. Aura Sphere is going to actually not get the KO there. I think they might have undercharged that, but then they make a huge mistake. They swap back into Gastrodon. I believe Togekiss is still 2 pegs away from a charge move. So what I need to do is I need to farm up. I need to throw here as they do have the energy for a Body Slam now. Seed Bomb gets the KO, but we just barely live 1 peck. We can fire off the Brave Bird. Brave Bird gets the KO there, and I'm able to take that game. So, GG's up on there into the next battle. I can see Dartrix into Corviknight. Another Pokemon that I just completely forgot about when team building. This Pokemon just completely destroys the entire team. I am triple resisting the fast food damage though, and they don't get the boost there, which is quite nice for me. So I'm actually going to stay in, fire off a Brave Bird. I'm then going to look to catch the next Air Cutter onto my Duraludon, but it does not work out for me. So they farm up to a Payback, I'm going to shield, and they do full send it, but now they can just hard punish me with a Marowak. So I'm going to go for the Flash Cannon this time around as we do reach it. Flash Cannon, going to do more damage, but it actually just threatens a shield instead. And once again, my Dartrix is in range where basically Rockslide is going to get the KO. Not quite, but basically it puts me into Mud Slap farm down range, which for a Pokemon that triple resist Mud Slap, that is not ideal for me. So here, I do shield the first one, gonna fire off the Seed Bomb. Seed Bomb gets them very low, and at this point, of course, all shields are down on my end. Rockslide doesn't quite get the KO there, but one more Mud Slap would do the job. So swap into Shadow Dialga, but there's just not a lot we can do up against this Corviknight. We're gonna fire off the Iron Head. I need them to no-shield this, but even then, we are of course down a shield. Whatever they've got in the back probably still beats us anyways, but they are just going to play it safe, use the shield, full send a Payback just because they can. One more Sand Attack takes out the Dartrix, and unfortunately I do lose that game. But GG's up on there into the next battle, and the bad leads continue as we see a Shadow Typhlosion. I swap into Duraludon, once again going for 1 peck first, and then the opponent makes the most questionable swap in that they could have made here, as Duraludon is going to one-shot them with the Flash Cannon, but they have put me into range where they can Incinerate farm me down, so potentially reading that Credilli not going to be great up against my backline, which is actually the correct call there, so I guess maybe that is the right play, because now they've got so much energy, they can grab both shields, they bait with a Thunder Punch, that doesn't really make a difference, it's not going to be cheaper to reach the Blast Burn the second time around, but their final Pokemon is going to be a Jumpluff. Now, I do resist all the charge moves here. Whether or not I can tank an Acrobatics, well, from this range, I probably don't, but the opponent is going to fire off the charge move, and it's just an Aerial Ace there, so potentially Maybe they're not on acrobatics. Maybe they've got aerial ace and energy ball. Either way, I'm going to fire off the Iron Head. I'm going to swap out here, and I'm actually able to catch the next aerial ace onto my Dartrix. They swap back into Typhlosion, but we get the full peck farm down. And here I recognize there's no point throwing. I do have back-to-back seed bombs, but instead committing to a fast move farm down. Aerial ace gets the KO, but a couple more Dragon Breaths. We get that farm down with Shadow Dialga, and I'm able to take that game. So, GG to opponent into the next battle and see Shadow Venusaur in the lead. So this is a good matchup for me, but I can make it even better by swapping out and catching a double resisted Sludge from the Shadow Venusaur. Unfortunately, we are hard punished with a Nidoqueen swap, and unfortunately, we're also not going to even reach a charge move. So once again, Duraludon just completely useless in this battle, but we can come in with the Dartrix. They could potentially be running Stone Edge. However, I'm going to no-shield the first move anyways, as they do just settle for a Poison Fang. Now here, I recognize that Seed Bomb won't get the KO here, so I'm actually not going to bother throwing just yet. I'm going to wait till I put them into range, but I can go for a peck farm down. So fire off the Seed Bomb. Seed Bomb actually going to be shielded by the Nidoqueen, and if they want a double shield, I should still reach another Seed Bomb before they get to the next Poison Fang. However, unfortunately, my game stutters just as I'm throwing the Seed Bomb there, which means I miss it. I end up throwing on CMP, which is definitely not what I was going for. So instead, I'm going to go for an undercharge, look to go for a farm down. They swap into their final Pokemon, a Florges, but of course, all shields are down, but the opponent just running Chilling Water there. Chilling Water is resisted, likely on Trailblaze as well, which is double resisted. So Iron Head gets the KO. They're going to come back in with Nidoqueen, but I stop attacking. I need an energy advantage to take out that Shadow Venusaur, and now we've got it. We can go straight for the Brave Bird. And of course, Brave Bird will easily be enough to take out Shadow Venusaur, and I'm able to take that game. So, GG to opponent there, and also, by the way, if you're wondering whether Dartrix is better with Peck or Leafage, as they are both Shadow Claw clones this season, I believe Peck just has better coverage. Leafage, whilst yes, there are a lot of Water-type Pokemon and Ground types, is also resisted by a lot more Pokemon than Peck, but either way, we're going to see a Carbink, where, of course, Leafage would have been better for me. Doesn't really matter too much. I swap into Duraludon, and I'm met with an Empoleon, but I do grab a shield from the opponent first, before they do grab it back with the Moonblast. Now, we fire off the Dragon Claw. That is going to be neutral damage here. I recognize Dartrix not going to be the best up against that Carbink, so I'm happy to come in with the Dartrix, tank a charge move, and then just farm up to back-to-back Seed Bombs. So the opponent does actually overfarm here. If I threw straight away, I actually could have got the KO before they throw a charge move, but I didn't want to throw on CMP there. So instead, we're going to farm up to back-to-back Seed Bombs, like the original plan. Anyway, Seed Bomb gets the KO there, but then I blind swap out, expecting Carbink to come back in. And that was not the case. They came in with the Corviknight. If I stayed in with the Dartrix there, potentially we still have some play, but they go for the Air Cutter bait. They get the boost. I'm full sending Draco Meteor, and Draco Meteor does respectable damage, but just barely not enough damage to get the KO. So either way, they full send a payback. They didn't really need to. They were boosted, but they can just come in with a Carbink. I don't bother throwing. I know that a single Seed Bomb, or even 3 Seed Bombs, probably would not get the KO there, and so unfortunately I do lose that game. But GG's to opponent there into the next battle. We're going to see Florges in the lead once again. And once again, they are going to go straight for a Chilling Water, debuffing my attack, but that's fine with me. Now, since we saw last time, Brave Bird didn't quite get the KO here. This time, it does actually put them into one Dragon Breath farm down range, but I actually come in with my Duraludon instead. We are going to see the opponent is going to fire off a charge move. The opponent goes for a Night Slash there, which means they will outpace me to the next charge move very comfortably. I fire off the Dragon Claw. Dragon Claw is going to be shielded. And now if they're running Dig, they're probably going to full send it here. The opponent goes for Dig. It gets the KO. But we can come in with a Dartrix. I do not need to shield, as worst case scenario, it's just a Night Slash. Night Slash does, however, give them the boost, which isn't really ideal. I can't really overfarm as much as I was hoping for, but we go for Seed Bomb. We're now going to swap out straight away into Shadow Dialga. They swap back into their Florges, but once again, just a Chilling Water. They debuff my attack. It doesn't really make a difference. Now here, what I could have done is thrown an Iron Head before they do debuff me, but again, doesn't really make a difference. Shadow Dialga just hits so hard that even double debuffed, Iron Head is going to grab the final shield, and I'm going to throw the next one straight away, even if this doesn't quite get the KO there. I believe Dartrix is one away from the charge move. They do reach a last second Rock Tomb, but it doesn't matter. Rock Tomb gets the KO, one more peck, we get the farm down, and I'm able to take that game. So, GG's up on there into the next battle. You see Dartrix into your Novan Stunfisk. So this is a decent matchup for us. Another matchup where Leafage would be better for me, but either way, we can fire off the Seed Bomb. 2 Seed Bombs actually won't quite get the KO there, but they swap into Fearow. Now, I'm going to come in with Duraludon. I think Shadow Dialga would have been the better answer here because unfortunately, these Dragon Tails, they just don't really do that much damage. And once again, like I mentioned, the pacing with that Dragon Claw combination, just a little bit awkward for that first charge move. And as well, it forces me to throw on suboptimal timing. So if I double shield here, which I do, I don't quite get the full farm down there. I think if I came in with Shadow Dialga, I double shield, I get the full farm down, and I come out with a charge move loaded. So yeah, definitely not as ideal for me, but Duraludon gonna go down to the Mud Bomb there. They swap into their final Pokemon, a Shadow Charizard. Best thing I can do here is full send a Brave Bird and have them no shield, but they shield, so that's going to be game over. Shadow Dialga definitely not going to be able to take a Blast Burn. Blast Burn gets the one shot, and of course, they can just fire off an Air Cutter from this range. An Air Cutter going to hit for super effective damage. Air Cutter takes out the Dartrix, and unfortunately, I do lose that game. So, GG's up on there into the next battle. We can see Dedenne in the lead once again. So, not a great matchup for me. I'm going to stay in. I realize they're just going to go straight for a Parabolic Charge. And they will, of course, win CMP here. So, they can boost up the defense before I land any damage whatsoever. Which is definitely not ideal for me. But we're going to fire off the Seed Bomb. Seed Bomb is going to connect. And now I can come in with my Shadow Dialga. Now, Dialga actually outpaces them to that first charge move if they commit to a Play Rough. And the opponent actually just no shields. They come in with Credilli. And that is a really interesting play on the opponent's end here. What on earth do they have in the back? They're coming in with Credilli, a Pokemon that we completely wall, unless they're running Bulldoze, which is incredibly unlikely. They fire off the Rock Tomb. Shadow Dialga actually tanking a charge move for once, and now we can go for another Iron Head. Now, they do not throw straight away this time around, so actually doesn't really matter, I guess, because they just let it go. We're going to come in with Duraludon, and I can tank any one charge move, so I'm going to no-shield this, but Acrobatics puts me into range where they can just fully farm me down. So I realize I probably don't get to back-to-back charge moves here. I full send a Flash Cannon, but they can fully farm me down. So I think the right play probably was just to shield that first charge move. I should still be fine though, as clearly this time around they are not on Aerial Ace, meaning they have to full send Acrobatics each time, which means I will very comfortably outpace them here to that final charge move. All shields are down on the opponent's end. Brave Bird is of course gonna connect, and when it does connect, it will be taking out Shadow Jumpluff, and I'm able to take that game. So, GG's up on there into the next battle. I see a Kanto Marowak in the lead. So, a great lead matchup for me. The opponent is going to stay in initially here before swapping out into a Charge Bug. Now, I'm going to be honest, I don't know why I'm throwing here. I have 2 Pokemon that will wall the energy, unless they're on Crunch, which I guess is a possibility. But either way, we swap out into Duraludon. I'm able to catch an X-Scissor, but I leave them with such little HP that I can't even come out with a Dragon Claw loaded. So, the opponent can just fire off a Bone Club straight away, get the KO there. Not really ideal. Definitely haven't played this the best so far, but we can come back in with the Dartrix, and they can actually tank a Seed Bomb relatively comfortably here. So they do end up no shielding. I'm seeing a lot more non-Shadow Marowaks recently. Previously, it was like only Shadow Marowak existed, but they swap into a Drapion. Now here, you can see I'm going for the Resisted Seed Bomb intentionally, but it is a non-Shadow Drapion as well, which means I can't just come in with my Dialga, commit both shields, and go for a full Dragon Breath farm down. Unfortunately, they will be able to reach 3 charge moves here. Now, luckily for me, they do go for a Crunch the first time around, but I believe they debuff my defense there. I'm going to shield again as the opponent is going to fire off another Crunch, but they swap back into Marowak here. I'm going to look to try and catch the last charge move. However, I'm so stupid. Obviously, Obviously, I'm in range where an Arctotail KOs from that range, so they didn't need to farm up to the Crunch that time around, and obviously, I don't catch the Arctotail, and so I end up losing that game. So GG's to the trainer, but into the next battle, a Abomasnow, most of them on Leafage now this season, and I believe this is just going to be the Yonkers team that he showcased with Leafage, Abomasnow. So at this point, I'm going to fire off the charge move here. I am going to bait, as I recognize it's going to be Azumarill and Dedenne in the back, and Dartrix has a decent matchup into the Azu. I'm going to swap out. I'm going to look to try and catch the charge move. Doesn't work out, but they do chip anyways. And here, I very nearly go for the Dragon Claw there. I don't know how that did not go off. So I get quite lucky. What the hell? I can't even talk right now. I get quite lucky there, but the opponent committing to a full farm down. I'm not going to reach another Flash Cannon, so I have to settle for the Dragon Claw. It does not KO, but I can come back in with my Dartrix, go straight for a Seed Bomb. Seed Bomb grabs the final shield, and now I will just let this go. Ice Beam does not get the one shot. They come back in with the Bomber Snow, but if they don't throw straight away here, Shadow Dialga gonna come in and go for a Dragon Breath Snipe, getting the farm down before they get off another Weather Ball. Their final Pokemon is gonna be Dedenne, which I did predict, as of course, Abomasnow, Dedenne, and Azumarill is the team that Yonka showcased. At this point, they're just going straight for a Parabolic Charge. It's resisted damage. I tanked that. Not super comfortably, but I do tank it nonetheless. The opponent also expecting me to swap out there potentially, so they're going to come in with the Azumarill, but now I can just safely shield up the Ice Beam, commit to a full Dragon Breath farm down, and you know what? We've got the energy for the Draco Meteor. Might as well go for that BM, and Draco Meteor from about 3 HP takes out the Dedenne, and I'm able to take that game. So, GG's up in there into the next battle. I see a Gastrodon in the lead, so a great lead matchup for me. The opponent's going to say swap into Mandibuzz, and this is honestly probably the most frustrating game that I played today, just because of how I played it. We catch the Aerial Ace, that's fine, nothing wrong there so far. The opponent going to reach a potential Dark Pulse, so I will end up shielding, but they bait with another Aerial Ace. At this point, I wasn't really sure how much damage Dragon Claw and Flash Cannon would do. I thought I'd need 2 Charge Moves anyways, however, potentially Flash Cannon might get the KO there. Anyways, I'm going to no shield, and this time they full send the Dark Pulse. And we end up using a shield there and still losing switch advantage to a flying type Pokemon with my Duraludon. So that's not ideal for me, and the opponent's going to have a really hard answer to the Dartrix. They've still got 2 shields here. I'm going to go for the Seed Bomb. Seed Bomb is going to grab a shield. I swap into Shadow Dialga. I need the opponent to shield a Charge Move, but if they are smart, they're going to recognize they don't need to shield here, as Wall Rain is their win condition, so they no shield. We get the one shot, but there's nothing I can do anymore, and so I do concede the match. So, GG's opponent there, very poorly played on my end, but also Duraludon just a little bit underwhelming. But anyways, into the next battle, we're going to see a Fearow in the lead. So I'm going to be swapping into Duraludon, and they are going to go for a Drill Peck. Oh, sorry, a Drill Run there. They grab the shield, but they swap into Kingdra, and this is a fine matchup for me. I believe this is just going to be either an Octazooka or a Swift, both of which are going to be resisted damage, so we're able to tank it, and I can flip this matchup here. The opponent no shields, so what I could have done is come in with my Shadow Dialga and committed to a Dragon Breath farm down straight away, but instead, I do let Duraludon go down. I should still be able to go for a full farm down, and I just barely get that farm down. Their final Pokemon going to be a Morpeko, so I'm very close to back-to-back Charge Moves already. First one should be grabbing the final shield, and now I'm just going to swap into my Dartrix. I should be able to tank an Aura Wheel, and they won't be able to commit to a full Thundershock farm down. So here, what I'm going to do, I could throw the Seed Bomb here, but instead, I'm actually just going to force them to throw their energy straight away, because I want to sweep this end game with the Shadow Dialga. So of course, we're a couple away from that Iron Head. Iron Head is resisted damage, but it doesn't matter. It takes out Morpeko, and I'm able to take that game. So that's going to be it for today's video. If you did enjoy it, please make sure you leave a like, leave a comment letting me know, and as well, don't forget to respond to the question of the day if you haven't done so already. And if you want to see more content like this in the future, make sure you hit that subscribe button and turn on post notifications. That way you'll be notified whenever I upload a new video. Now, if you want to take your support to the next level, you can become a channel member with perks including early access to new videos, shoutouts at the end of each video, custom loyalty badges, and custom emojis to use in the comments of every video. I want to say a massive thank you to everyone that has become a channel member already. Your support is greatly appreciated. And with that being said, thank you so much for watching today's video, and I hope you have a great rest of your day.